I'm gonna share my screen right away. So hopefully, okay, well, I hope everybody can see my screen. Thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm gonna talk about financial and cash flow forecasting tool. And the reason that we want to talk and discuss it is, as you already know, this is very relevant not only on normal times, but especially in crisis time like this. You probably heard the slang or the statement that cash is always king, and it certainly is, because it's basically the best financial tool you have to capitalize opportunities or to cope with crisis, especially on this survival mode that we are today. So during the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you a practical tool how to manage your cash flow in the very, very short term. Well, when we talk about forecasting, there's a lot to talk about it on usual or normal times. However, right now, what we're going to talk, it's basically oriented only to cash flow. And I mean by that, we are not going to talk about forecasting financial statements or forecasting things that have to do with accounting principles. So it's barely just cash flow. And usually forecasts are done on a monthly basis for the first 12 or 18 or even 24 months, and then yearly. However, in a crisis period like the one that we are living, we recommend you to do it weekly, at least for the first 3 to 6 months, because you really need to nail and to be conscious and aware of your cash flow situation. The other principle that we recommend you is that you should outline at least 2 scenarios. The pessimistic one, your worst case scenario, and a conservative one. What if things go in the middle? Not on the optimism, but just in the middle. So with these principles in mind, I'm going to show you 7 steps that you need to follow just to make a cash flow forecast in the very short term. So let's start with the first 3. First of all, you need to make a list of the products and services that you can offer in this period. Link with the price list. And this price should be adjusted for any discount or any incentive that you want to provide to your client base. So once that you have done that, then you need to project the number of items that you are going to be selling by week. And keep in mind that we are talking about projecting first how many items, even before talking about how much or what are the amounts of revenues that you are going to get. So once that you have done that, then it's just a matter of math to multiply the price list for the number of items, and you'll get whatever cash in you expect to receive. We're gonna see an example in a few minutes, so bear with me. But these are the first 3 steps. Then the next 4 steps would be 4 and 5 are related to expenses, so to cash outflow. So you need, first of all, to identify which are your fixed or semi-fixed expenses. And once that you've done that, you need to identify which ones could be adjusted. And I mean by adjusted, either eliminated, deferred, or diminished. And a similar thing you need to do with your variable expenses, which are basically the direct cost you have linked towards your products and services that you market. Also, you need to identify any non-essential or potentially adjustable items. Once that you've done that, then it's pretty much, the math, doing the math, which is whatever cash in you projected, diminished by the cash outflow, then you get your balance at the end of that period. Keep in mind that you need to consider the carryover. And I mean by carryover, whatever initial balance you have at the beginning of the period. And then once you have the balance, which at the beginning, it might be negative, you need to make as many adjustments as you need in an iterative process until your end balance is positive. So this is an exercise of really thinking, adjustment. And all the adjustments that you identify will be equivalent to your immediate action plan. So let's see a practical example. The example that I'm going to show you it's a very simple. I know that your businesses are much complex, but just to illustrate what I'm talking about. So remember, step number 1, make a list of your products and services. In the example, this is a very small coffee shop that is open to the public for takeout. So in this example, we have 5 products. This was the original price. Then you have a price with discount, and then you have basically the unit of measure. So once that you have listed them, then basically you need to project the number of units by week. As you may see in this example, we are looking, sorry, I'm gonna get back to my screen. We are looking to 8 weeks forecast. So you need to project the number of units by week per product. In this case, for example, week 1 starts a little bit low, then increases gradually as you get to know it in the market. So once that you have this forecast and you have the price, you only need to do the math, multiplying the number of units per product by the price per product to get the estimated cash in that you are going to get. In this example, on week number 1 is 369, and it gradually increases to a little bit less than 500. So this is what money is going to get in. Then, as you may recall, step 4 and 5 are related to expenses. So identify your fixed expenses. In this simple case would be rent, payroll, electricity, and the payment of a loan. Do it by week, on the exact week that you need to pay them, and start identifying which ones could be adjusted somehow. For example, in payroll, you could reduce the number of hours, you can reduce or make adjustments to salaries, and so on. The same thing goes for variable expenses. In this example, the expenses are food ingredients and packaging. So you do the math about the cost of your products and calculate your total expenses, which are basically the sum of the fixed expenses plus the variable expenses of that particular week. Once that you have done that, you need to calculate the balance per week. In this example, we have a beginning balance of 2,000. So considering that balance plus the cash in that you get, which was at 369, minus the total expenses, which is 2,655, the end balance of that week is minus 285. Following that same logic, you do it for all the weeks. Okay, so this is the first stage. Second stage would be basically to adjust whatever you previously identified as adjustable. In this particular example, I'm adjusting manager, cashier, and kitchen salaries, eliminating the assistant, and postponing the rent by the end of the second month. This is just an example. Keep in mind that whatever program you have applied, whatever incentive you may have, needs to be reflected either in the cash in or in the cash outflow accordingly. So you do exactly the same thing, but as many times as needed to get positive balances. So in this example, only on the week 1, we have a slightly negative balance, but the rest of the weeks are already positive. So iterate as much as needed, list your adjustments because that really means your action plan. So this is very simple, what I wanted to show you, but the idea is that you need to nail all your cash expenses and all your cash inputs for the following weeks so that you can be in control and being able to cope better with the crisis. sorry for the simplicity of the example. I know there are many much complex cases. If you have any questions, anything you think we can help you with, don't hesitate to contact us. Basically, we are here to help you. And having said that, keep in mind, this is the email where I can reach out, and the phone number. So good luck, stay positive and stay safe. Thank you for sharing us, and we are going to pass to the Q&A session, Eli.
Fantastic, Monica. Thank you so much for that very practical example. That was wonderful. Like Monica said, at this time, we'd like to open the floor to anybody who may have any questions, either for Monica or for Jim about the day's announcements. So feel free to type those questions in the box now, and we'll be happy to respond to them. And again, as always, a reminder, if you have a question that is more confidential, that you'd rather talk to your FY team member face-to-face or over the phone, by all means, email or call them. So we'll just wait a second here and see if any questions pop up. Looks like we have one here. Monica, can you please explain further what you meant by considering carryover?
Thank you, Lai. Of course, carryover is the balance that you have by the end of the previous period. So for example, if you are forecasting an 8-week period, whatever cash amount you have at the beginning of the week number 1, that's your carryover that you will consider as the amount of cash that you have on hand to work. As the weeks progress, the carryover is the end of the balance of the week that you are in. So in this way, whatever money you have left from the previous week is something that you are taking into consideration for the balance of the week that you are analyzing. That's what I meant by the carryover. I hope this clarifies your question. If not, let me know.
Good, thank you. And I see another one here. How long do you recommend to do the forecast on a weekly basis instead of a monthly basis?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. As you recall, at the beginning, I was mentioning that usually forecasting is done on a monthly basis for the first year, year and a half, or up to 2 years. And then you do it yearly because it's forecasting. It's not recording your actual transactions. However, in this time of crisis, it is recommended that you do it weekly. How long? As long as you feel that cash is tight. And I mean by that if you feel that, you are really counting every cent, which most of us are doing in this crisis, do it as long as you feel confident that forecasting a month will be enough. So that means at least in this period, 6 months, but it could be longer. And also it's important to keep in mind that even in a regular basis, in a normal situation, if you have the resources, someone to keep track of that, doing quickly doesn't harm. It allows you to get better control of your financials, so it won't harm. If you don't have the luxury to do it bi-weekly on normal situation, then do it monthly. So right now, as long as you feel that cash is not an issue anymore.
If I can add something to what you just said, Monica, I see that at this moment it's very unpredictable how long it's going to take us to get out of this one. Probably we're going to start working soon. However, the situation won't be stable, and we know that we have a recession around the corner, so we don't know if it's going to materialize or not, and we need to be ready. And the second thing that I wanted to say is that this projecting and forecasting is a skill that you develop with the practice. Mm-hmm. The more times that you do, the better that you become on that. So I would say to use after you do the first exercise and you go to the next week, you review your numbers that you forecasted, and then you adjust them, you tune it up, because it's going to start getting better along the way until the point that will be very precise, and you will realize that whatever you forecasted really happened. So keep doing this exercise because it's going to help you monitor better your cash.